Drama, when the drama, where the drama's at, that's where everybody's at. Shalom, shalom, YVO.
Shalom, bro. Shalom. I'm ready for this reading. All praises to the Most High.
All praise to Yahweh. Yeah, I'll probably give it a little couple minutes or something. Just see if somebody else come in.
I'm finna ping some
So
people now.
there's homeboy from Twitter, yeah. What's up, bro? Azar Yahoo. What's up, bro? Shalom. Yeah, like I was telling Menelik if he came in the room, he said a couple days ago, because he had a tour reading, like a nightly tour reading, and I went through all his videos, and it wasn't too many people that want to show up like that when you want to read, which I don't really think a lot. I mean, you could tell a lot of people really don't be reading. They'll probably read their favorite book, or they'll read, preset package, a verse here, a verse there, where they say here a little, there a little. They don't really be wanting to read the whole thing, especially front to back. No, no, he's right, man. Wherever the drama is, that's where everybody's gonna be flocking at. But there got to be a time when we all get together and we all actually read this thing in unison and go over some parts that may be controversial or confusing. But the reason I want to get into the Ecclesiastes, like the Proverbs, because they're both books of wisdom. And that's one thing a lot of us are lacking. We're lacking the wisdom of how to deal with each other and how to conduct ourselves. So it's basically the same theme as the Proverbs, but in Ecclesiastes, Solomon more so tells you like what he's learned with all his wisdom and his fall. So yeah, I'm gonna give it probably 2 more minutes so we start. If anybody else want to come up and read, feel free, raise your hand. I'll let you up. But it's a short book. It's only like 9 pages, 10 pages. So I mean, me and Sage went through the whole Proverbs. It's like 2 hours last time. So I mean, it's whatever. Y'all can just listen. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And
Yeah, Shalom, brother. I'm here. I think we can knock it out if no one comes in and just be able to edify and have it on replay in case some people of ours who are not on now, they can go back and read it and study it for themselves.
yeah. Let's get it. I'm reading from the Stone Edition to Knox, so some of these words are probably different from yours. Like it says the words of Koheles. It's talking about Solomon, but I guess that was a title he was given. What's it say? It means, I guess, wisdom assembled with him or something like that. But yeah, just know if I say Koheles, that's talking about Solomon, and it says futility of futilities. Besides, instead of what's it called, um, vanity of vanities. Well, let's get started, y'all. Ecclesiastes 1. The words of I'll just say Solomon. The words of Solomon, son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says Solomon. Vanity of vanities. All is futile, all is vanity. What profit does man have for all his labor which he toils beneath the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth endures forever. And the sun rises and the sun sets. Then to its place it rushes, there it rises again. It goes towards the south and veers toward the north. The wind goes round and round, and on its rounds the wind returns. All the rivers flow into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the place where the rivers flow, they flow once more. All words are wearying. One becomes speechless. The eye is never sated with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. Whatever has been is what will be, and whatever has been done is what will be done. There is nothing new beneath the sun. Sometimes there is something of which one says, "Look, this is new. It has already existed in the ages before us." As there is no recollection of the former ones, so too of the latter ones that are yet to be. There will be no recollection among those of a still later time. I, Solomon, was king over Israel and Jerusalem. I applied my mind to seek and probe by wisdom all that happens beneath the sky. It is a sorry task that God has given to the sons of man with which to be concerned. I have seen all the deeds done beneath the sun, and behold, all is vanity and a vexation of the spirit. A twisted thing cannot be made straight, and what is not there cannot be numbered. I said to myself, here I have acquired great wisdom, more than any of my predecessors over Jerusalem, and my mind has had much experience with wisdom and knowledge. I applied my mind to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this too is a vexation of the spirit, for with much wisdom comes much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases pain. Chapter 2. I said to myself, come, I will experiment with joy and enjoy pleasure. That too turned out to be vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of joy, what does it accomplish? I ventured to stimulate my body with wine, while my heart is involved with wisdom, and the grass folly, until I can discern which is best for mankind to do under the heavens during the brief span of their lives. I acted in grand style. I built myself houses. I planted vineyards. I made for myself gardens and orchards, and planted in them every kind of fruit tree. I constructed pools from which to irrigate a grove of young trees. I bought slaves, male and female, and I acquired stewards. I also owned more possessions, both cattle and sheep, than all of my predecessors in Jerusalem. I amassed even silver and gold for myself, and the treasure of kings and the provinces. I provided myself. I provided myself with various musical instruments, and with every human luxury, chests and chests of them. Thus I grew and surpassed any of my predecessors in Jerusalem. Still, my wisdom stayed with me. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not deny them. I did not deprive myself of any kind of joy. Indeed, my heart drew joy from all of my activities, and this was my reward for all my endeavors. Then I looked at all the things that I had done and the energy I had expended in doing them. It was clear that it was all futile and vexation of the spirit, and there is no real profit under the sun. Then I turned my attention to appraising wisdom with madness and folly. For what can man who comes after the king do? It has already been done. And I perceive that wisdom excels folly as light excels darkness. The wise man has his eyes in his head, whereas a fool walks in darkness. But I also realize that the same fate awaits them all. So I said to myself, the fate of the fool will befall me also. To what advantage then have I become wise? But I concluded that this too was vanity. For there is no comparison between the remembrance of the wise man and of the fool at all. For as the succeeding days roll by, it is all forgotten. How can a wise man die like the fool? So I hated life, for I was depressed by all that goes on under the sun, because everything is vanity and a vexation of the spirit. Thus I hated all my achievements laboring under the sun, for I must leave it to the man who succeeds me, and who knows whether he will be wise or foolish, and he will have control of all my possessions for which I toiled and have showed myself wise beneath the sun. This too is vanity. So I turned my heart to despair of all that I had achieved by laboring under the sun. For there is a man who labored with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, yet he must give over his portion to one who has not toiled for it. This too is vanity, and a great evil. For what has man of all his toil and his stress in which he labors beneath the sun? For all his days are painful, and his business is a vexation. Even at night his mind has no rest. This too is vanity. Is it not good for man that he eats and drinks and shows his soul satisfaction in his labor? And even that, I perceived, is from the hand of God. For who shall eat and who shall make haste except me? To the man who pleases him he has given wisdom, knowledge, and joy. But to the sinner he has given the urge to gather and amass, that he may give it over to one who is pleasing to God. That too is vanity and a vexation of the spirit. This is one of my favorite verses right here. Everything has its season. Chapter 3. Everything has its season, and there is a time for everything under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot the planet. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to wreck and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. Flip this page. A time to wail and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to seek, and time to lose. Oh, hold on, I'll skip one. A time to embrace and a time to shun embraces. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to discard. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. What gain then has the worker by his toil? I have observed the task which God has given the sons of man to be concerned with. He made everything beautiful in his time. He has also put an enigma in their minds so that man cannot comprehend what God has done from beginning to end. Thus I perceive that there is nothing better for them than to rejoice and do good in his life. Indeed, every man who eats and drinks and finds satisfaction in all his labor, this is a gift from God. I realize that whatever God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing can be subtracted from it. And God has acted so that man should stand in awe of him. What has been already exists, and what is still to be has already been, and God always seeks the pursued. Furthermore, I observe beneath the sun, in the place of justice there is wickedness, and in the place of righteousness there is wickedness. I mused, God will judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time for everything and for every deed there. Then I said to myself concerning men, God has chosen them, but only to see that they themselves are beasts, as beasts. For the fate of men and the fate of beasts, they have one and the same fate. As one dies, so dies the other, and they all have the same spirit. Man has no superiority over beasts, for all is vanity. All go to the same place. All originate from dust, and all return to dust. Who perceives that the spirit of man is the one that ascends on high, while the spirit of the beast is the one that descends down into the earth? I therefore observe that there is nothing better for man than to be happy in what he is doing, for that is his lot. For who can enable him to see what will be after him? You can take over chapter 4, say.
I got my headphones on. Can you hear me?
You can hear you now.
Okay, good, good. Ecclesiastes 4. Then again, I contemplate all the oppression that is committed under the sun. Take, for instance, the tears of the oppressed, no one to comfort them. The power their oppressors wield, no one to comfort them. 2. So rather than the living who still have lives to live, I congratulate the dead who have already met death. Happier than both of these are those who are yet unborn and have not seen the evil things that are done under the sun. I see that all effort and all achievement spring from mutual jealousy. This too is futile and chasing after the wind. The fool folds his arm and eats his own flesh away. Better one handful of repose than two hands full of achievements to chase after the wind. And something else futile I observe under the sun. A person is quite alone, no child, no brother, and yet there is no end to his efforts. His eyes can never have their fill of riches. For whom, then, do I work so hard and grudge myself pleasure? This too is futile, a sorry business. 9. Better two than one alone, since thus their work is already rewarding. If one should fall, the other helps him up. But what of the person with no one to help him up when he falls? Question. Again, if two sleep together, they keep warm. But how can anyone keep warm alone? Question. Well, one alone would be overcome, two will put up resistance, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Better a youngster, poor and wise, than a monarch old and silly, who will no longer take advice. Even though stepping from prison to the throne, even though born a beggar in the kingdom. I observe that all who live and move under the sun support the young newcomer who takes over. He takes his place at the head of innumerable subjects, but his successors will not think the more kindly of him for that. This too is futile in chasing after the wind. Watch your step when you go to the house of Yah. Draw near to listen Drawing near to listen is better than the offering of a sacrifice by fools. Though they do not know what they are doing is wrong. Oh, that's so true. 5. Be in no hurry to speak. Do not hastily declare yourself before Yah. For Yah is in heaven, you on earth. Be sparing then of speech. From too much worrying comes illusion. From too much talking, the accents of folly. If you make a vow to Yah, discharge it without delay. For Yah has no love for fools. Discharge your vow. Better a vow unmade than not Rather a vow unmade than made and not discharged. 5. Do not allow your mouth to make a sinner of you, and do not say to the messenger that it was a mistake. Why give Yah occasion to be angry with you and ruin all the work that you have done? From too many illusions comes futility, and too much talk. Therefore, fear Yah. If in a province you see the poor oppressed, fair judgment and justice violated, do not be surprised, for over every official there watches a higher official, and over these higher officials still. But what the land yields is for the benefit of all. A king is served by the fields. 9. No one who loves money ever has enough. No one who loves luxury has any income. This too is futile. Where goods abound, parasites abound. Where is the owner's profit apart from feasting his eyes? Question 11. The laborer's sleep is sweet, whether he has eaten little or much. But the surfeit of the rich will not let him sleep at all. Something grossly unjust I observe under the sun. Riches stored and turning to loss for their owner. An unlucky venture, and those riches are lost. A son is born to him, and he has nothing to leave him. Naked from his mother's womb he came, as naked as he came will he depart. Not one of his achievements can he take with him. And something else grossly unjust, that as he came, so must he go. What profit can he show after toiling to earn the wind? As he spends the rest of his days in darkness, mourning, many sorrows, sickness, and aspiration. So my conclusion is this. True happiness lies in eating and drinking and enjoying whatever has been achieved under the sun throughout the throughout the life given by Yah. For this is the lot of humanity. And whenever Yah gives someone riches and property with the ability to enjoy them and to find contentment in work, this is a gift from Yah. For such a person will hardly notice the passing of time, so long as Yah keeps his heart occupied with joy. Ecclesiastes 6 and 1. I see another evil under the sun, which goes hard with people. Suppose someone has received from Yah riches, property, honors, nothing at all left to wish for, the chance to enjoy them, and some stranger enjoys them. This is futile and grievous suffering too. Or take someone who has had 100 children and lived for many years, and having reached old age, has never enjoyed the good things of life and has not even got a tomb. It seems to me a stillborn child is happier. In futility it came, into darkness it departs, and in darkness will its name be buried. It has never so much as seen or known the sun. All the same, it will rest more easily than that person. Who would never have known the good things of life, even by living 1,000 years twice over? Do we not all go to the same place in the end? Question. All toil is for the mouth, yet the appetite is never satisfied. What advantage has the wise over the fool? Question. And what of the pauper who knows how to behave in society? Better the object seen than the thing of desire. For the latter too is futile and chasing after the wind. What has been is already defined. We know what people are. They cannot bring to justice one who is stronger than themselves. The more we say, the more futile it is. What good can we derive from it? And who knows what is best for someone during life, during the days of futile life, which are spent like a shadow? Question. Who can tell anyone what will happen after him under the sun? Hold on to that. Who can tell anyone what will happen after him under the sun? Question. Ecclesiastes 7.
Hold on real quick. Hey, Azayahu, did you want to read?
Okay.
All right, bet. You can do, go ahead, do 7 through 9.
Okay, okay.
Damn, I got you. Can I be heard?
Yeah, you go.
Yes.
All right. Ecclesiastes 7. A good name is better than fragrant oil, and the day of death than the day of birth. It is better to go to a house of mourning than to a house of feasting, for that is the end of every man, and a living one should take it to heart. Vexation is better than revelry, for though the face be sad, the heart may be glad. Wise men are drawn to a house of mourning, and fools to a house of merrymaking. Hmm. Wise men are drawn to a house of mourning, and fools to a house of merrymaking. Got me thinking about how people go to the club. It is better to listen to a wise man's reproof than to listen to the praise of fools. For the levity, for the levity of the fool is like the crackling of nettles under a kettle, but that too is illusory. For cheating may rob the wise man of reason and destroy the prudence of the cautious. The end of a matter is better than the beginning of it. Better a patient spirit than a haughty spirit. Don't let your pride be quickly vexed, for vexation abides in the breast of fools. Don't say, how has it happened that former times were better than these? For it is not wise of you to ask that question. Wisdom is as good as patrimony, and even better for those who behold the sun. For to be in the shelter of wisdom is to be also in the shelter of money. And the advantage of intelligence is that wisdom preserves the life of him who possesses it. Consider Elohim's doing, who can straighten what he has twisted. So in a time of good fortune, enjoy the good fortune, and in a time of misfortune, reflect. The one no less than the other was God Elohim's doing. Consequently, man may find no fault with him. In my own brief span of life, I have seen both these things. Sometimes a good man perishes in spite of his goodness, and sometimes a wicked one endures in spite of his wickedness. So don't overdo goodness, and don't act the wise man to excess, or you may be fat, or you may be dumbfounded. Don't overdo wickedness, and don't be a fool, or you may die before your time. It is best that you grasp the one without letting go of the other. For one who fears Elohim will do his duty by both. Wisdom is more of a stronghold to a wise man than 10 magnets that a city may contain. For there is not one good man on earth who does what is best and doesn't err. Finally, don't pay attention to everything that is said, so that you may not hear your slave reviling you. So well, for well you remember the many times that you yourself have reviled others. And this I tested with wisdom. I thought I couldn't fathom it, but it eludes me. The secret of what happens is elusive and deep. Deep down, who can discover it? Question. I put my mind to studying, exploring, and seeking wisdom and the reasons of things, and to studying wickedness, stupidity, madness, and folly. Now I find woman more bitter than death. She is all traps. Her hands are fetters and her heart is snares. Who is pleasing to Elohim escapes her, and he who is displeasing is caught by her. See, this is what I found, said Korleth, item by item in my search for the reason of things. For what for what I sought further but did not find, I found only one human being in 1,000, and the one I found among so many was never a woman. But see, this I did find. Elohim made men plain, but they have engaged in too much reasoning. Who is like the wise man, and who knows the meaning of the adage? A man's wisdom lights up his face, so that his deep disconnect is dissembled. Question. I do. Obey the king's order, and don't rush into uttering an oath by Elohim. Leave his presence. Do not tarry in a dangerous situation, for he can do anything he pleases. Inasmuch as a king's command is authoritative, and none can say to him, "What are you doing?" One who obeys orders will not suffer from the dangerous situation. A wise man, however, will bear in mind that there is a time of doom. For there is a time for every experience, including the doom, for a man's calamity overwhelms him. Indeed, he does not know what is to happen, even when it is on the point of happening. Who can tell him? No man has authority over the life breath. To hold back the life breath, there is no authority over the day of death. There is no mustering out from that war. Wickedness is powerless to save its owner. All these things I observed. I noted all that went on under the sun, while men still had authority over men to treat them unjustly. And then I saw scoundrels coming from the holy site and being brought to burial, while such had acted righteously were forgotten in the city. And here is another frustration. 11. The fact that the sentence imposed for evil deeds is not executed swiftly, which is why men are emboldened to do evil. The fact that a sinner may do evil 100 times and his punishment still be delayed, for although I am aware that it will be well with those who revere Elohim, since they revere him, and it will not be well with scoundrels, and he will not live long, because he does not revere Elohim. Here's a frustration that occurs in the world. Sometimes an upright man is requited according to the conduct of the scoundrel, and sometimes the scoundrel is requited according to the conduct of the upright. I say all that in frustration. I therefore praise enjoyment. For the only good a man can have under the sun is to eat and drink and enjoy himself. That much can accompany him in exchange for his wealth through the days of life that Elohim has granted him under the sun. For I have set in my mind to learn wisdom and to observe the business that goes on in the world, even to the extent of going without sleep day and night. And I have observed all that Elohim brings to pass. Indeed, man cannot guess the events that occurs under the sun. For man tries strenuously, but fails to guess them. And even if a sage should think to discover them, he would not be able to guess them. Chapter 9. For all this I noted, and I centered all this, that the actions of the even the righteous and the wise are determined by Elohim, even love, even hate. Man knows none of these in advance. None. For the same fate is in store for all, for the righteous and for the wicked, for the good and pure and for the impure, for him who sacrifices and for him who does not, for him who is pleasing and for him who is displeasing, and for him who swears and for him who shuns oaths. That is the sad thing about all that goes on under the sun, that the same fate is in store for all. Not only that, but men's hearts are full of sadness, and their minds of madness while they live, and then to the dead. For he who is reckoned among the living has something to look forward to. Even a live dog is better than a dead lion. Since the living know they will die, but the dead know nothing, they have no more recompense, for even the memory of them has died. Their love, their hates, their jealousies have long since perished, and they have no more share till the end of time in all that goes under the sun. Go, eat your bread in gladness, and drink your wine in joy, for your actions was long ago approved by Elohim. Let your clothes always be freshly washed, and your head never lack ointment. Enjoy happiness with a woman you love all the fleeting days of life that have been granted to you under the sun, all your fleeting days. For that alone is what you can get out of life and out of the means you acquire under the sun. Whatever it is in your power to do, do with all your might. For there is no action, no reasoning, no learning, no wisdom in Sheol where you are going. I have further observed under the sun that the race is not won by the swift, nor the battle by the valiant, nor is bread won by the wise, nor wealth by the intelligent, nor favor by the learned. For the time of mischance comes to all, and a man cannot even know his time. As fishes are enmeshed in a fatal net, and as birds are trapped in a snare, so men are caught at the time of calamity when it comes upon them without warning. This thing, this thing too, I observed under the sun about wisdom, and it affected me profoundly. There was a little city with few men in it, and it came a great king who invested it and built mighty siege works against it. Present in the city was a poor wise man who might have saved it with his wisdom, but nobody thought of that poor man. So I observe, wisdom is better than valor, but a poor man's wisdom is scorned, and his words are not heeded. Words spoken softly by wise men are heeded sooner than those shouted by a lord in folly. Wisdom is more valuable than weapons of war, but a single error destroys much value. Hallelujah.
Oh yeah. It says
Hallelujah. Praise Yah. That was beautiful. Go ahead, you want to finish it out, Brother Saul?
you can hit 10 and 11, and I'll finish with 12.
Shalom to the room, everybody. We read the word of Yah. 10. One dead fly can spoil the scent maker's oil. A grain of stupidity outweighs wisdom and glory. The sage's heart leads him aright. The fool's lead him astray. A fool walks down the road he has no wit, and everyone remarks how silly he is. If the anger of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your post. Composure mitigates grave offenses. 5. One evil I observe under the sun, the sort of misjudgment to which rulers are prone. Folly promotes to the top, and the rich taking the lowest place. I see slaves riding on horses, and princes on foot like slaves. He who digs a pit falls into it. He who undermines a wall gets bitten by a snake. He who quarries stones gets hurt by them. He who chops wood take a risk from it. If, for want of sharpening the blades is blunt, you have to work twice as hard. But it is the outcome that makes wisdom rewarding. If, for want of charming, the snake bites, the snake charmer gets nothing out of it. The sayings of a sage give pleasure. What a fool says procures his own ruin. His words have their origin in stupidity and their ending in treacherous folly. A fool talks a great deal, but none of us, in fact, can tell the future. What will happen after us? Who can tell? Question. A fool finds hard work very tiring. He cannot even find his own way into town. Woe to you, country, with a lad for a king, and where princes start feasting in the morning. Happy the land whose king is nobly born, where princes eat at a respectable hour to keep themselves strong and not merely to revel. Thanks to idleness, the roof tree gives away. Thanks to carelessness, the house lets in the rain. We give parties to enjoy ourselves. Wine makes us cheerful, and money has an answer for everything. 20. Do not abuse the king, even in thought. Do not abuse a rich man, even in your bedroom. For a bird of the air might carry the news. A winged messenger might repeat what you have said. Mm. Chapter 11, Ecclesiastes. Cast your bread on the water. Eventually, you will recover it. Offer a share to 7 or to 8 people who can never tell what disaster may occur. When clouds are full of rain, they will shed it on the earth. If a tree falls, whether south or north, where it falls, there it will lie. Keep watching the wind, and you will never sow. Keep staring at the clouds, and you will never reap. You do not understand how the wind blows, or how the embryo grows in a woman's womb. No more can you understand the work of Yah, the creator of all. In the morning, sow your seed until evening. Do not cease from labor. For of any two things you do not know which will succeed, or which of the two is the better. How sweet light is, how delightful it is to see the sun. However many years you live, enjoy them all. But remember, the days of darkness will be many. Futility awaits you at the end. Young man, enjoy yourself while you are young. Make the most of the days of your youth, following the prompting and desire of heart and eye. But remember, Yah will call you to account for everything. Rid your heart of indignation. Keep your body clear of suffering, though youth and the age of black hair are both futile. Praise Yah, brother.
Praise Yah. Chapter 12. So remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come, and those years arrive for which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. Before the sun, the light, the moon, and the stars grow dark, and the clouds return after the rain, in the day when the guards of the house will tremble, and the powerful men will stoop, and the grinders are idle because they are few, and the gazers through windows are dimmed, when the doors in the street are shut, when the sound of the grinding is low, when one rises up at the voice of a bird, and all the daughters of song grow dim, when they even fear a height and a terror in the road, and the almond tree blossoms, and the grasshopper becomes a burden, and the desire fails. So man goes to his eternal home, while the mourners go about the streets. Before the silver cord snaps, and the golden bowl is shattered, and the pitcher is broken at the fountain, and the wheel is smashed at the pit. Thus, the dust returns to the ground as it was, and the spirit returns to Yah, who gave it. Vanity of vanities, said Koheles, this Solomon. All is vanity. And besides being wise, Solomon also imparted knowledge to the people. He listened and sought out and arranged many proverbs. Solomon sought to find words of delight and words of truth, recorded recorded properly. The words of the wise are like goads, and the nails well driven are the sayings of the masters of collections, coming from one shepherd. Beyond these, my son, beware. The making of many books is without limit, and much study is weariness of the flesh. The sum of the matter, when all has been considered, fear Yah and keep his commandments, for that is the whole duty of man. For Yah will judge every deed, even everything hidden, whether good or evil. Praise Yah. That's the end.
Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Thank you. Praise Yah. Shalom, everybody. Um, we just reading. Anybody have a reading request or anything, or anything to discuss on what you read? From my point of view, that was one of my favorite books, like you were saying, so to read, and it has so much wisdom in it, so many sayings that apply even today. And for anybody who want to read us something or anything, I put in the chat or whatever. We're just gonna read for a minute and learn to, get to know Yah over and over again by reading His Word. So, brother, so anybody want to come up? Y'all raise your hand. Y'all come right up. We're gonna continue discussing it, and then we'll go into another reading. And brother Azayahu, if you have anything to say about anything that you read that maybe you want to elaborate on, or anybody, anything they heard and they want to elaborate on.
Cain. Shalom, shalom, family. This was needed. And I took it for the this. Today I had a situation, and I didn't get the results that I wanted. Right. And I was started going to this mind of contemplation and thinking like what's going on. But then I when I read about the vexation, you know, that's a time of reflection. It's sometimes we think that because we're walking the Torah and we living according to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and that we're calling on the name of Yahuwah and doing all these different things, that it keeps us away from the adversity. But it doesn't. It doesn't matter, and that was one of the things, interesting enough, that me and my Ak was talking about earlier today. We was saying how the wisest man in the world, Shalom Melech Shalomo, he said everything was vanity. It didn't matter. The same outcome is for all of us, whether you're righteous or unrighteous, whether you're upright or not upright, because everything happens to us all. But we have to be wise. We can't allow ourselves to fall into folly because, like the scripture was saying, we got to have that balance. We can't be overly wise that we miss something and be easily confounded. But we can't be all out loud and being in our folly either, unless our lives are taken before us swiftly. We have to be mindful of the situations that we are in and the times that we're living in, and that we know that it's all in Elohim's plan. None of us are, none of us are, what's the word? Impenetrable. The Most High sees us all. He knows what we need in our lives to become stronger, to become smarter, become wiser, but also He knows we're in places where we need to be brought low, where we need to be humbled, that we don't become too high and mighty for our own good. So I say Toda Rabbah for, putting it in y'all spirits to open up this clubhouse to do this reading, because it gave a good feeling in my heart in my situation, knowing that what I'm going through is not because I'm being punished. What I'm going through is not because I'm undeserving. It has nothing to do with any of that. What I'm going through is because it's the Most High's will for me to go through. And I have to stay strong and know that everything happens for my good. I just have to remain focused on what's important, which is serving the Creator, being the husband and father that I am, and being a service to the community. So I say total rabah for you all for opening up this platform and allowing us to be able just to go through these scriptures and really break it down, to just hear that we are all under the sun and there's nothing new that we're experiencing that our ancestors haven't experienced, and it's nothing new that our descendants are not going to experience. So we got to remember why we're experiencing it and to keep on pushing forward. So hallelujah.
Oh yeah, yeah, stay strong. Y'all remember also Psalm 34:19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Yah delivered from out of all. Also Sirach 2:5. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So like yeah, we gonna be we gotta be tested, man. We gotta be tested because that makes us stronger. I can I can I could talk for hours. I could talk for hours, man, about my experiences, man, and how I got where I'm at today, man. And it just reinforced that the Most High is with me, and I really don't fear anything. Like I have no reason to fear man or anything, man. And that's the level we gotta be on. Like no matter what comes at us, we just know that we can get better from it, and we can get good out of any situation. Especially if we keep our eyes on him. That's really most of the times that's what is really the goal is. Is like he's trying to see, are you gonna rely on another man, or are you gonna rely on your own will, your own power? Or are you gonna, in your times of distress, are you gonna have your eyes on him and beg, cry out to him, call on him like he wants us, like he wants all of us to do in the captivity as a unit, as one body. Leviticus 26, 2 Chronicles 7:14. He wants us all to cry out to him. That's how we got out of captivity all the other times. And he just wants to, we're made into soldiers through the trials and tribulations we go through, man. So you can't let it break you. Some people get broken, but they get thrown in that fire and they burn. And then the ones that keep their eyes on him, he turn it to gold, and we seek that perfection. And then one day we're gonna have it, man. Nothing's gonna phase us.
Cana. Hallelujah.
Sister Judah, that was beautiful, Brother Soul. It's always thank you for opening this room too, Brother Soul. The Most High put it on your heart last time when we opened the room and we read Proverbs. It was beautiful. People came in, you know, listened or to the word of Yah, and then now, like the brother say, this needed, and we know that the words of Yah is healing. It is comfort. It is life, and when we look into our ancestors who gave us the law and the testimony, we able to see everything that we need in our life, the Most High has supplied. So no matter what you go through, we all have access to Yah if we want it with all our heart and all our soul. No matter if you down to the ground or if you sitting so-called up high, everybody had the same fate. You the God of the slave and the slave master. It's, it's up to you what's in your heart. Do you want to serve Yah or do you want to serve man? We should be able to have, especially OT onlys who know ain't nobody to blame for our, we responsible for our own actions. We have to chastise and make sure we ourselves are right with Yah. Like I can't be sitting up here trying to get on somebody else and I ain't right. So we should be daily, coming unto the Most High, telling Him like David said, Psalm 51, create in me a new heart, give me a clean spirit, train my lips to speak. Show me how to even speak to you, Yahweh, how to get in your presence, how to bow before you. Teach me, like He had to teach our ancestors how to serve Him. That means you truly are seeking because you want the Most High. Train me, show me how to serve you. I want to get this right because we see our ancestors at some points in times they got it wrong. We want to get it right, whether we're going through things, because we're all going to go through something. But is everybody giving the Most High His glory? Is everybody giving the Most High what He needs? No. So all praises to the Most High Yahweh. Sister Judah, you had anything to say? And anybody want to come up? Come up. We just breaking bread. It's a safe space for us to read the Word of Yah. Praise Yah.
Yeah, don't be shy. We're not gonna cut your head off. Ain't none of that going on here. But yeah, just stay strong. Get in there. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes there's another thing I notice. Sometimes whatever you're going through, that really is what brings you into that space, into that mode of seeking the Most High. Like it's low key a gift. It's like a blessing in disguise, like a trial. But then like I can't even tell you the times like I thought I was gonna die or stuff. You know, stuff like that. Things that made me really go into my yard. Actually, that's what really had me start going into my yard. The situation this dude tried to kill me in 2019. I called on Yah's name as we hit 100-mile-an-hour crash. He tried to kill me. I suspect he had a demon in him for real, based on a bunch of things. I'm not gonna get into the whole story. I'll be here for like, but yeah, I called on Yahweh, and I was saved. He died, and then I started dealing with a lot of PTSD and stuff. A couple days after that, had heart attack symptoms, thinking I was gonna die and stuff. Anxiety attacks. That's what really started me. That's when I first started going in my backyard, getting on my hands and knees, and just begging the Most High, yeah, like tears. It's like just take this from me, yo, take this from me. And I started doing that frequently, starting then. And it's been yeah, man. Sometimes it takes that for us to really start seeking Him like that, and that's something we need to do every day. You know what I'm saying? Get on our hands and knees, head to the ground, and truly, truly pray to the Most High. Not just, you know what I'm saying, a little nursery rhyme prayer. Like really, really meditate on Him. Really get into that deep space, trying to like really try to hear from Him, try to see His face. You know what I'm saying? Really try to get on that level, and like so deep. Like the previous 2 Saturdays, I got in it so deep, man. I really don't even want to tell y'all the my experiences with it, man. I had so many experiences. I wouldn't say so many, but experiences with the Most High, man, since 2016 that people wouldn't even believe if I told you. But the last 2 Saturdays when I was meditating and praying, like got real deep into it. It's just, you know what I'm saying, tears and snot coming out my nose. Like that's how deep I was into it. And I'm not gonna get too into the actual details of it. But it was beautiful experience with the Most High, man. We need to seek that every day, especially as a unit. That's another thing I want to start doing. One thing the camps don't teach, I don't really see too much of the repentance part, and collectively as a unit, as one body, as Israel is called a son and a servant in the singular, and we are one body. As one body, we gotta, you know what I'm saying, repent to the Most High, call out to Him, cry out to Him. That's one thing we need to start doing. Like group prayers. That's one of my dreams. Like had the whole nation all at once praying to the Most High. I feel, you know what I'm saying, like how churches be doing with all the instruments and stuff. I was reading in Chronicles earlier. I just finished the whole Tanakh. David like appointed Levites to some Levites play certain instruments, and they would sing the Psalms of David while playing instruments and just praise the Most High. Like that's one of the things that would be beautiful. Like the whole nation, we all playing music to the Most High, singing, glorifying Him all at once, repenting all at once. And I think like, that would be the key, like to Him, like gathering us or returning and giving us the kingdom. Like once He sees that a certain percentage of all of us doing that, He's gonna be like, yeah, y'all ready? Y'all had enough? I'm gonna scoop y'all up. So yeah, that's another thing we're gonna start doing. some prayer rooms. I'm also gonna start Friday night. I'm gonna start reading a group reading of the Tanakh front to back. So from Genesis to some say Malachi, but my Tanakh, the last book is Second Chronicles. So front to back, we can do a group reading. It's essential that we read the whole thing front to back, get the context. We don't isolate these verses, and we really see how things we connect the puzzle pieces. So yeah, we're gonna start that Friday night for everyone wants to join. And yeah, that's all I gotta say for now. But I'm gonna pray for you, bro. I think all y'all. I pray the Most High gives all y'all the desires of your hearts, as long as you seeking Him wholeheartedly. I pray He opens y'all's eyes. Any questions y'all have, any confusion you may be in, any hardships you're going through. Just keep your eyes on Him, man. He'll get you through it, and never give up.
Praise Yah. All glory to the Most High Yahweh. You are worthy. Everything you said, brother, I concur. Shalom, Sister Hazel. How you doing? All praises to the Most High Yahweh. Many blessings upon you, sis. Anything you would like to say? It's open.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you all. Um, One scripture that always stands out to me is from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, where it says there is a time and season for everything under heaven. And I feel like that's always the one to speak to me the most. And I also had a question on the interpretation of one scripture. It's in chapter 7, verse 3. It says, sorrow is better than laughter. No, sorry, that's the wrong one. Better to go to the house of mourning than go to the house of feasting. And to me, it seems like you can go to the house of feasting, but mourning. Sorry, no. The heart of the wise is in the house of the mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. So it seems like you can enjoy, but mourning is coming. That's my interpretation of it. Um, I just
Yes,
want to share that.
yeah, something like that. You can see it like that. Also, I kind of see it also as you know, you can let's say there's a funeral going on, or one of your friends, family members died, and you got another friend that's having a party. Like, are you gonna go console that person and speak words of wisdom to him, or are you gonna go do the stanky leg? So that's another way to look at it. Like wise people, they're gonna be there for somebody, and also knowing that there's another scripture where it say, death, the day of death better than the day of birth. 'Cause I mean, when you die, you escape all the turmoil of the earth. So there's a couple ways you can look at it. Some of the scriptures can be multifaceted when you look at them.
The way I look at that scripture, the day of death is better than the day of birth because it says that you were born in sin and when you reach the age of accountability, you choose to sin, but the day you give your life to Christ and you die in Christ, it's better than the day of your birth. That's at least my interpretation.
Well, I see it as this. Like I said, it could be like multi things or what you see it as. Like I see that the day of mourning is better because when and the day of feasting, because a lot of times when we're mourning, we search and we really search out. We dig hard to find who the Most High who High is. We call out to Him. We call His name. We try to figure out what we need. We beg for Him. You know what I'm saying? And we search. We really search. For Him. Versus on a day of feast, everything is all fine and dandy. We really ain't calling out for the Most High. We think everything is well, but in those times of hard needs, we really do call out to Him. And we find out who He truly is instead of who you think He is.
Um, Also, I would like to add, because I actually just went to a funeral recently for a 17-year-old young man who got shot. I was there for his father. It's amazing how much you reflect on life when someone loses theirs. It puts life under a scope to really, you know, you can party, and when you party, you don't really care. Like you just doing whatever it is to make you feel good. But when you're watching someone being buried, you become in this reflective state of mind. You talk to the family starts talking about the memories they had, some of joy, some of our sorrow. But I'm going back to what Saul was saying. A wise man listens to the stories and he learns from them. He meditates on those memories that he hears, and he grows in his understanding so he can make better choices, because we're all going to reach that day one day. But when we do, how do we want our lives to be remembered? Do we want to be remembered as someone that just lived life and just let it just pass by them, or someone who was prudent, someone who was mindful, someone who was caring, that was sincere? And you learn these things by hearing the stories of others.
You're on mute. I don't know if you was done talking.
Probably got a call. Yeah, he probably got a call. Um, yeah, and I like mourning, when y'all say that, it brings you closer to Yah. Like that's when you cry out at your darkest times. Like we see Hezekiah when he was told, you about to die, put your affairs in order. And he went and he, prayed to the Most High Yahweh. He probably prayed his hardest prayer he ever prayed in his life. And it said the Most High heard him. When we see the prayer of Manasseh, when he had done all that idolatry and was taken away captive, and you hear that prayer of repentance, a real repentant prayer. And we know Psalms 51, Most High say, burnt offering and sacrifices you did not desire, but a broken spirit and a contrite heart you will never turn away. And that's when you know your heart is truly broken and the Most High will fix it. And that's when true triumph comes out of adversity, because you don't know what you can do or what you're capable of unless sometimes we are pushed to the limit or we are so far down that the only way to go is up. So this is a much needed reading, much needed discussion. I pray for every single person that is in here now, that is coming into here, that will come, that the Most High Yahweh bless them, touch their hearts, bless their families. A lot of us in this time of awakening is dealing with these are blow after blows. Those of you who have gotten out of idolatry, or and still unlearning things that we learned when we was in idolatry, when we did not know who we are, when we did not know who the Most High Yahweh is, to be able to call on that name, to be able to offer our supplication. I like what you said, Brother Soul, and you say this every time. That's how you know someone who truly uh, is letting the Most High lead them through whatever they're going through. That prayer, when you say you praying so hard that you don't care who around, who watching, snot running, tears, and that is the prayer that the Most High know He's truly, truly seeking me. He truly, truly wants me. And that's what it means to love Him with your whole heart, your whole soul, your whole mind. Consider when people are in love with whoever, guy or girl you just meet. You want to talk to them every day. You're thinking about them all the time. You're telling all your friends about them. That's the love that we are having for Yah. We want to tell our family about them. Even if they reject them, they're like, what is you talking about? Who is Yahweh? I don't know that name. They have no idea. And we understand that. So I pray for those who are battling this with their families, like Abraham did with his brother, with his father Terah, when he was in idolatry, and he was trying to tell his father that idol you got ain't the true God, the true Creator. He's telling him that the Most High will let your words and let even people who are on the fence themselves and struggling with where they're at right now. That the Most High will give you His truth, that you continue to seek it, and He will give it to you if you truly, truly want it. Then the true repentance starts. You can't repent. if you're in idolatry. That's why we were saying, Brother Soul, about people who are, we go in a lot of these rooms and there's no repentance. And it's kind of like true repentance come when you realize you've been serving an idol or putting an idol before Yah. That's when the true repentance starts. And those are the true prayers that Yah is hearing because now they're going to Him and not an idol. So I pray that we all can begin to know Yahweh, serve Him, pray to Him, keep that first commandment first, and then the rest added on to you. And the first commandment, thus says Yahweh, have no other God besides me, no other power, me. It stops with me. So all praises to the Most High Yahweh. Shalom, Brother Myron, bringing you up. All praises. Bless all everyone who just came into here. May the Most High continue to bless you. And I just want to say, if nobody told you today, I love you. Yahweh loves you. He is smiling on you. Let him shine so bright in you that others see your light. They don't see darkness when you look at children of Yahweh. You see light. You see love. That's what you see. You cannot say you love the Most High Yahweh, but got hate for another. To love Him is to know one thing He loves, His people. He's coming to claim a nation, but He said He's the creator of the whole world. Shalom, Brother Myron.
Shalom.
Yes, you would like to do a reading. You said Deuteronomy 30. Would you like to read it, brother?
I'm in bed like it's 3:18 a.m. here in the Netherlands.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Let
Yeah.
me thank you for
Can someone read for this innocent monkey to Deuteronomy 30?
I read it for the little puppy. Silly. It's an innocent monkey. Oh, praise Yah. Yes. Deuteronomy 30. Excuse me. And when all these words have come true for you, the blessing and the curse, which I have offered you, if you meditate on them in your heart, wherever among the nations Yahweh your power has driven you, if you return to Yahweh your power, if with all your heart and with all your soul you obey his voice, you and your children, in everything that I am laying down for you today, then Yahweh, your power, will bring you back from your captivities. He will have pity on you and gather you back from all the peoples among whom Yahweh, your power, has scattered you. Should you have been banished to the very sky's end, Yahweh, your power, will gather you again, even from there, and will come there to reclaim you and bring you back to the country which belonged to your ancestors, so that you may possess it in your turn and be made prosperous and more numerous than your ancestors. 6. Yahweh, your power, will circumcise your heart and the heart of your descendants, so that you will love Yahweh, your power, with all your heart and so will live. 7. Yahweh, your power, will make all these curses recoil on your foes and on your enemies who have persecuted you. And once again, you will obey the voice of Yahweh, your power, and you will put all his commandments into practice, which I am laying down for you today. Yahweh, your power, will make you prosper in all your labors, in the offspring of your body, in the yield of your cattle, in the yield of your soil. For once again, Yahweh will delight in your prosperity, as he used to delight in the prosperity of your ancestors. If you obey the voice of Yahweh, your power, by keeping his commandments and decrees written in the book of this law, and if you return to Yahweh, your power, with all your heart and soul, for this law, which I am laying down for you today, is neither obscure for you nor beyond your reach. It is not in heaven, so that you need to wonder who will go up to heaven for us and bring it down. so that we can hear and practice it. Nor is it beyond the seas, so that you need to wonder who will cross the seas for us and bring it back to us, so that we can hear and practice it. 14. No, the word is very near to you. It is in your mouth and in your heart for you to put into practice. 15. Look, today I'm offering you life and prosperity, death and disaster. If you obey the commandments of Yahweh, your power, which I'm laying down for you today, if you love Yahweh, your power, and follow his ways, if you keep his commandments, his laws, and his customs, you will live and grow numerous, and Yahweh, your power, will bless you in the country which you are about to enter and make your own. But if your hearts turn away, if you refuse to listen, if you let yourself be drawn into worshiping other gods and serving them, I tell you today, you will most certainly perish. You will not live long in the country which you are crossing the Jordan to enter and possess. Today, I call heaven and earth to witness against you. I am offering you life or death, blessings or curse. Choose life then, so that you and your descendants may live in the love of Yahweh, your power, obeying his voice, holding fast to him. For in this your life consists, and on this depends the length of time you stay in the country which Yahweh swore to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, that he would give to them. All praises to the Most High Yahweh. His word do not return void. He don't lie. It is exactly as he said it is. Thank you, Brother Myron, for that read. Would you like anything to say, or are you going to sleep?
Monkey is satisfied.
Oh, man. Anybody else got anything else they want to say? I don't want to keep this room going too long. I want to keep it mainly focused on the reading and not get into any debates or off topic stuff, really.
Huh? If anybody have anything else to say, a question, something that again stood out to them in the reading, or what was just read, open.
Mm, let me see. Psalm 112.
You said Psalm 112,
Yeah, 112, yes.
Psalms 112 reads, Hallelujah. How blessed is anyone who fears Yahweh, who delights in his commandments. His descendants shall be powerful on earth. The race of the honest shall receive blessing, riches and wealth for his family. His uprightness stands firm forever. For the honest he shines as a lamp in the dark, generous, tender-hearted, and upright. All goes well for one who lends generously, who is honest in all his dealings. For all time to come he will not stumble. For all time to come the upright will be remembered. Bad news holds no fears for him. Firm in his heart, trusting in Yahweh. His heart held steady. He has no fears till he can gloat over his enemies. To the needy he gives without stint. His uprightness stands firm forever. His reputation is founded on strength. The wicked are vexed at the sight. They grind their teeth and waste away. The desires of the wicked will be frustrated. Praise Yah for his word. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Thank y'all. Thank y'all everybody for coming. Who came in on the reading. May you heard something that touched you, and continue. You know, it's always a daily reading for all of us. It should be getting in the Most High Word. I think Isaiah 60. He say, "Those who tremble at my words." When you hear the Most High words and they just resonate through your whole body, and you like, this is the Creator speaking. Thus says Yahweh. Those are the words that we hang on and that we hold true to. And I tell, people from a Christian perspective, they'll tell you what Paul, Peter, Mark, Luke, John, and Christ said, but you tell them, and I guess they can't understand it right away until it really sinks in on them, that the word of Yahweh is, thus says Yahweh, thus says the Lord in the King James. And when you know that this is the Creator speaking, if you believe in the Creator, you believe in the one who created the heavens and the earth and who chose your ancestors to be his chosen people to show the world how to serve him. That was the whole point. We are supposed to be his light unto the world. But instead, yes, there are times when we went and served the world instead of serving Yahweh. So thank you, Brother Soul, again, for your obedience and the Most High, and for your love of the Most High and His people.
All praises to the Father.
I don't know if you're going to want to close. I think there's probably other OT only rooms open, maybe, or a room, find a room. If someone do, they can ping me if it's not a room already open, because I know you want to keep you don't want to keep it too long. But if anybody would like anything to say that's on their heart, you can come up and please speak. Like some of these platforms, people don't get to speak and voice, and just if you want to voice the Most High's praise into the atmosphere, whatever you want to do, if you want to get a shout out, if you want to, have a question or anything, this us y'all only need to provide safe spaces so people can feel free coming in, asking questions, speaking, and but know that we're going to stand on scriptures without a doubt. But welcoming to our brothers and sisters so we can all learn together. Sister Judah, Myra, anybody have anything to say? Before we end the room, anybody got anything to say, or they got to open the room or anything after this? Let us know. Good night, little monkey. I forgot to tell you good night, little
Yeah,
monkey. Shalom, dear sister Hannah. How you doing? All love.
Shalom.
Hallelujah.
I just came up briefly. I was kind of late to the reading, but I did want to say thank you because I mean, of all the rooms in the hallway, I mean, it's good to know that like people actually, take time to dive into the word. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Babakashah. All praise
all
to the
praise.
Father. Yeah, it's something we gotta do. Too much of us, and that's why I did the Proverbs room last week, because it gets on a lot of people not getting out of the strife and the anger, and you know it really sinks in how we should really conduct ourselves and treat each other, and start with debating every day, 24/7. We gotta deal with each other properly and in order, and also get these readings in. So yeah, just something that has to be done individually every day, and we also should do it as a unit. But yeah, um, tune in Friday night. We're gonna start this thing front to back. Also, do the whole thing. So anybody wants to tune in Friday, and try to make it a daily and nightly thing. Do a couple.
What time are you? I'm sorry.
Nah, you good.
What time are you starting in that room?
Probably maybe between 6 and 8 Eastern.
Okay, I'll praise this. I think I'm trying to still. I'm I'm trying to still grasp the understanding a little bit. Yeah, I'm truly seeking understanding. I guess that's the better way to say it. I'm not 100% solidified with like in Yah only, but I'm also not as rooted in Christ, if that makes sense. Um, and so I'd like to go into rooms where they're actually breaking bread and trying to like, or rather, they're going over certain things for understanding purposes, but not to strive. Um, so yeah, I want to come in more rooms just to listen, if you guys don't mind.
You know what, Hannah? That's my story. That's all our story. Everyone who has come, and that's where I say we lack empathy. Because I know for a fact that there are people who was right where you at, and it was months ago, last month ago, and now they going and just banging on Christians. Like, you was just one. Have empathy for people. Meet them where they at, and then they'll be able to. We can build better like that and grow better like that. So I
No,
was
I
there.
agree.
I know exactly what it feels like because we've been told so many lies that we don't know where they stop. And then by you going into different spaces, you're also going to hear different perspectives. So I always tell people what was good for me is that I had to read for myself. So I read the whole Bible, then read it again, then whatever extra writings. I'm going and I'm reading anything that has anything to do with scripture. I'm reading them all. Book of Gad, Dan, Jasher, Testament 12, whatever I can find, I'm reading it, reading it. And I realized I want to know. And then I was praying. That's another part and component to this that a lot of us are not doing, like Brother Soul said so beautifully, the prayer. I had to get on my knees and I said, Father, if this is an idol, if this is not, if what I'm reading and going through, and you keep saying you, and none else, and then I'm struggling with this over here, and how Christ went from being my everything to nothing. That is some deep stuff. That's why I be telling some OT only brothers and sisters to back for a minute. Look what you are saying. It may seem easy coming out of your mouth, but the person that's receiving it, think of them as you're telling them this stuff. Slow walk them through it if you have to. One brother I had to go through Isaiah 7:14, through that whole chapter 4 times before he got it. But he got it. Just recently heard him telling some other people, that ain't JC. I'm like, oh, he got it. Isaiah 7, 9 and 6, that's Hezekiah. What? He's saying this now? He was fighting me on it. But because that's what it's going to take us to, people are going to fight with it, but usually because so many spaces are toxic. So they won't know the difference between somebody who's toxic and not until they actually encounter you. And I know for myself, I try to meet people where they at because this is some deep stuff. I had to think about this myself. I ain't saying it's like as if I have not cared about people's feelings at times. Because you get so whatever into trying to bring the word of God that you're not thinking about the impact it's having on people. So meet them where they at, pray for them, but tell them get in that space and read and pray for yourself and say, hey, if this is an idol, I don't want to serve it a day longer because you can't serve
Right.
it. I didn't know that.
My
And that's
thing
one of the
is,
most important things for me.
I think I'm in a space where, like, I mean, I've always tried to be honest about what I saw pertain. Can you guys hear me?
Nah, we
Exactly. Yeah.
I was saying, like, I've always tried to be honest about what I saw pertaining to the scriptures. Now, it doesn't necessarily make me right, but I try to be as honest about what I see as possible. So even in the OT, like, being honest about seeing Christ. Now gaining the understanding via the scriptures about like certain prophecies and how they've already been fulfilled. I can see those things, and so if I now I'm at the space where I want to, and I want to be proven wrong, if that makes sense. Like whereas I don't see him, I want somebody to show me or give me that understanding, or else like I have no other choice but to put it down. And I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of where I'm at. Because I could see in the Torah and the Tanakh where the Most High is, I can see His words, and I can see where He's like very specific and clear about not only who He is, but what He's going to do for and to Israel, and what He desires. Now, when you get to the New Testament, I think that's where the confusion comes for me, because it's like I hear what it's saying, I see what it's saying, and I'm very well versed in the New Testament. And so reading it, I had to start over as of recently and go in without a bias, because a lot of times in from the Christian perspective, we learn to read the New Testament, then go backwards, and so now we have a position. And so what I'm trying to do is not have any position or perceived thoughts pertaining to who Jesus Christ is, but rather take it for what it is. You get what I'm saying? And allow it to move that way. But I'm still searching for somebody to prove it wrong, to show me it, and it to be clear. That's just
Yeah,
me.
yeah. That's where I was, you know. And the thing that really helped me is I started reading the Tanakh. The more you read the, because we already got the New Testament, like you said. I knew that front to back, you know, but I had never read the Old Testament, especially in its entirety. So, like Brother Soul said about us having rooms, and we had did it in our room about a month or two ago, where we read the whole Tanakh. It took us 2 weeks, but we read the whole thing, and it was so edifying for those who had just, you know, converted over to Yah only, and we read in the Word, so we're not going by what somebody said, or even what we trying to be as objectively, you know, objective as we can, and trying to get to the truth, trying to erase what was told us. Okay, it said Christ is the rock, and Christ. Okay, let me just read Isaiah 7 for what it says without the Jesus glasses on, and I started reading that. And the more I'm reading, thus says Yahweh, because if you notice, another thing I didn't know at first is that Yahweh ain't speaking in the New Testament. You know,
Facts, not at all.
all in the Old Testament, he's speaking, thus says Yahweh, my words don't return void. I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. And then the New Testament, which comes 500 years after the last book of the Old Testament, written by totally different people after a 400-year Greek Hellenization, and you see this new book, and it got a new, like the God of the New Testament is Jesus Christ. Acts 2.4 billion Christians. Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior. They don't even know Yahweh. You say Yahweh to your family members, they looking at you like you crazy, but they know JC. And then we know who our ancestors never prayed to know JC. You can't see Isaac, Jacob, Israelites. Nobody praying to a JC. Nobody. But then we get to the New Testament. JC said, if you ask anything in my name, my commandments, like, whoa, you say you didn't come to change nothing. How you got your commandments? When you hear people saying, follow the commandments of Christ, he got his own commandments, all glory to him. Even Christians saying he God in the flesh and God died. The Most High can't die. That is straight Christian doctrine. So what helped me too was using common sense too, because religion relies you to defy logic. That's why it's based on belief. It can't be proven, can't be validated. It's just all believe that Christ died for your sins. Believe this. But the Most High didn't. It wasn't belief in the Tanakh. You barely see that. It's
And you know
life
what's
and
so
death.
crazy, Sage? Because
Mhm.
when you talk about, and
It can't be proven, can't be validated. It's just all believe that Christ died for your sins. Believe this. But the Most High didn't.
It wasn't belief in the Tanakh. You barely see that. It's
And you know
life
what's
and
so
death or
crazy,
death.
Sage? Because
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about, and I was just having this conversation earlier, about the essence of belief and faith in the New Testament and how it differs from the Old Testament, that faith, right? And I'm like, the Most High never required us to believe. He showed us things, and then he said, "Believe." You know what I mean? Have faith, quote unquote. You got what I'm saying? Whereas in the New, we don't see nothing. We hear about it and we read it, and then we're just supposed to believe it. You know what I mean? He says, "I'm not going to show you any more signs, you people of unbelief." But then it's like, what? And then like I think about Adam and Eve, and I'm like, Eve believed on something that she hadn't seen. She believed on what he told her was possible, whereas Adam had already showed her all the things that the Most High has showed her. And so um, I wonder about those things. I'm not saying I'm right, but that's something that came to mind. And I don't know. I'm just allowing the Most High to lead me in a lot of prayer, because I don't want to be led astray. And so I study a lot for myself, but also too, I'm just, I'm trying to make sure I'm not driven away by my own lust, if that makes sense. And I'm gonna be quiet,
No,
y'all.
it's exact. You're making the right steps because I was exactly where you was at, and that's one of the exact things I prayed several times. Like I first started questioning it maybe late 2020. Like I was all in the Israelite camp videos. I actually went out to a camp like twice, but I was never part of a camp. But I was I was all in the New Testament. I was, I was raised a Pentecostal Christian, so I mean, but going from that to the camp doctrines and somebody just, I used to tell people, like I used to call them antichrist and all that. The things that I don't call now, I used to call them wicked. Whenever they said something that I couldn't combat, it was just a pride thing. It was all pride, really, looking back on it. And dude gave me what? He gave me a bunch of verses in Isaiah, and it made me question. And I was looking at it like I never seen this before, and I was like, it took like maybe 8 months total from when I started looking at that. I started really just studying, looking into Hebrew, praying. That's where it really like humbling down and knowing that you may be wrong, and just really praying and seeking the Most High and and asking and beg. Like I literally begged him. I literally begged him, cause in my mindset, what I was taught my whole life. If you don't believe in this guy, if you even question him, like something's wrong with you. And then if you don't believe in him, if you don't pray in his name and stuff, you're burning in hell. It's a fear factor. So that's where my mind was at. Like I was begging the Most High, like I just want truth. That's all I want. I don't care what I have to drop. Just give me the truth. And I was really begging him, like, don't let me be deceived. Do not lead me astray. I prayed that over a several month period, crying my eyes out to him, like, and every time I prayed, and the more I studied, it's like another scripture came up, or somebody's video explaining something. I started meeting like Godal and all these people, and it just things just started clicking and making more sense. And I was just like, it's. I started. I had a group chat with my boys on Facebook, and we used to always meet up for feast days and stuff. And I'm the only one in the group like asking these questions, bringing stuff out, and yeah, eventually they fell off. I'm still in it, and yeah, it was just months and months of prayer and studying and truly seeking. And you're in the right direction. Just keep praying and keep begging. Just ask for truth alone. That's it. And he sees that. He sees that you're not seeking to be right or to prove what you think. He's seeking that you're just trying to be right in his eyes. Like no matter what that means. Just that's all. Just whatever truth is. If that's all you're seeking is the truth, he's gonna open your eyes to it.
Yeah, brother Soul, what was it for? Because for me, like I had when I dropped JC, I still had doubt, right, a little bit, because I was like, what if this is a test too? What if this is a test to see how quick I drop Christ, and then
That's
I put
me.
oh yeah, I went through that, girl. I cried
Yep.
so hard. I had to drive myself to the hospital in the middle of the night. It's 2015. Drive myself to the hospital. My family didn't know. I was just up crying because I had was reading, and I'm just like saying like something right with this New Testament is whatever, and it just and I started going through history, and that's how I came up with like the councils, and then I'm looking like, oh, it's 13 of them, so I'm going into these councils, I'm going into seeing the paganism, the tree, and all these things. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is whatever, and that's when it dawned on me, like this is it's a lie, and like you said, we don't. It ain't like basically wanting to be wrong for me, it wasn't that. It was more of, uh, uh, this can't be. The whole world can't be fooled. Not only am I wrong, but the whole world is wrong. But then when I see the Most High say He's going to confuse the world, He's going to confound the world. So I'm like, well, it ain't just me. I ain't nothing special. He fooled my mama, my grandmama, your mama, grandmama, all our, we all. It's not a person who has not been in some form of idolatry in this time of captivity, because that's part of the curses. While you're in captivity, you're going to serve their gods, wood and stone. You're going to serve your enemies. If this, and this is another thing I ask people: if the slaves were baptized and converted to Christianity on the slave ship, how could that be ours? How? If was here and they come and Christ already whatever, our ancestors should already had him. They were singing Kumbaya. They weren't singing Kumbaya Jesus or Kumbaya Christ. So it was things like that that was showing me going back to the ways of your ancestors, reading the Old Testament, the Tanakh, because most of us just make claims and ain't even read the book. Only religion teach you to read from the back of the book. So New Testament. So every time you say something like faith is the evidence of hope of things not seen, and everything we quoting is what Paul said or Peter. No, thus says Yahweh. And it's like you making Yah have to line up with Paul and what Paul say, rather than if Paul is an apostle, which who made him apostle? Yahweh never spoke to him. And what is an apostle? There are no apostles in the Tanakh. He from the tribe of Levi? I mean, what does this mean? What are they talking about? Apostles, Sadducees, and
But even
Pharisees?
not to
None
cut you
of
off,
that's
but
in the
even
Tanakh.
dealing with Paul, it's a
Yeah.
contradiction because the Lord says, "Be wary of false prophets." Right? Christ says, "Be wary of false prophets." For they'll come in where He talks about the desert, right? But He met Paul in Damascus in the desert. You get what I'm saying? Those prophets who come to you in the desert, and I'm like, so how do you make it make sense? Are he lying?
And Gabriel came to Muhammad in the desert. And so all these religions that, and this what I thought. When you think of these three right here, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, all three of these are called the Abrahamic faith, right? Religions. But neither one of them are created by our people. You know what I'm saying? From the Jewish people with the Talmud, fake people, right? The Muslims, Islam created by Arabs, right? And then you have Christianity created by Romans. And each one of all three of the followers of these three religions make up 75% of the world's population. We have 2.4 billion Christians, 2.3 billion Muslims, and growing. You know what I'm saying? So when you think of these religions, that's what it is. You will worship gods of wood and stone. Christianity, Islam, the biggest two religions. And both of those religions was not originated in Africa. One come out of Europe, one come out of the Middle East. But what do they? What do they dominate at? They when they controlled and conquered Africa, you got half of Africa converted to Christianity, half converted to Islam. Then you got some here or there that keep ancient or other African spiritual traditions or and customs, but the bulk of the people on that continent. And both of those religions came. Spanish Inquisition, the Catholic Crusades, the the Ottoman Empire coming with the Muslim crusades, converting people. So those religions we got was through conversion. They wasn't telling the slaves you the chosen people. They wasn't forcing the Torah and the Tanakh on us. Neither one of these religions. So when I thought of that, I'm like, wow, it goes even deeper. Because if you got the followers of Islam not calling out to Yahweh, they Allah and Muhammad, but they not calling out to Yahweh. They not keeping his commandments. You got the fake Jews, they calling Hashem or whatever name they gave him. They calling that name, keeping the Talmudic laws and midrash and customs. And then you got the Christians that's keeping Christianity in Christ. So they used our books to validate their religions, but none of their followers are following our book. That was astounding for me to recognize that. And that's the thing, if it wasn't written by your people, the New Testament was written by Romans. Titus, and then that's another thing. Look up Titus in there. Go to Titus, Emperor Titus, and then go to Titus. And why is Paul writing such favorably about Titus? How much he his brother, and how good of a person he is, and all this stuff he's saying about Greek Titus. And then you will see like, oh wow, Titus writing about himself because he's in control of the pistos and all of those other Roman scholars and philosophers that they have, which are really getting their information from Socrates and Plato and all of these. That's why you'll notice the New Testament has a lot of sayings from Socrates and Plato and Aristotle because the Roman people who wrote the New Testament were influenced by the Greek philosophers and Greek mythology. That's why you got the Greek god Zeus and the Roman god is Jesus, which is translated Jesus. But thank y'all, everybody. Thank you, Brother Soul, Sister Hannah, Sister Judah, Brother YBO. Much love to all y'all. This has been a beautiful room, and if we got space to learn and grow, um, the information is so much information out there, and we all must be weary because we can grab hold to doctrine that is not of the Most High. There are so many different doctrines out here. Sister Hannah, I understand there are so many different aspects. Sometimes you talk to a different person, you'll get a different answer. That's why most of the things that I say is, or the information that I, bring out is stuff that I have researched and studied myself. Research the research. I didn't get this from anybody or watching nobody on videos and seeing how they I was really prayed and I read it for myself because I don't want to go from one doctrine dogma to another. I don't want to get out of one form of idolatry and jump to another. I want the truth as Yah has put it, not man doctrine. So that's another danger that we'll get out of one doctrine and into another. And it all really starts with us reading, studying, and praying for ourselves. So therefore, if you is around people, you're not easily swayed. Because I can kind of see, like, nah, that don't make sense. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, I also I always try to make sure what somebody's saying aligns with what I see in the scriptures. Um, and to be honest, I don't believe more than half of the stuff that I hear on Clubhouse. That's why I said I try to make sure I read for myself. And I've always been that way, even when I was a part of a camp. And that's why I really left the camps because, you know, um, I, I think there is extremely problematic.
They are, and that's where the crowd is at. The 2/3. Being set apart means really set apart because when you're in these camps, everybody got to adhere to the same doctrine. But by you not being in the camp, like if you was in a camp, they'll be following you. Like, where you going? Don't go over there. Don't go here. Don't go there. Or they'll be trying to tell you who you, what you can read, what you can do, this or that. But you free like me. I never been to camp or anything. I'm free to read, study where I want, talk to who I want to talk to, do what I want to do. Ain't nobody calling me saying, "Why was you this and that? Why was you doing this?" Like, what you my slave master, my taskmaster all over again? You know. So those who are getting out of these camps are the ones who are going to be rewarded with the truth because you're free to explore it and you haven't allowed yourself to be oppressed by all over again.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but it's past my bedtime. Um, yeah, I used to be in bed by 8 o'clock. We waking up like 3, 4. We go in the room soon. Y'all want to continue discussing? We make another room. Probably I might stay up a little bit longer, eat something. I don't really be eating this late, but
Thank you, prayers out,
I want
brother.
some chicken. What's up?
So yes, in a beautiful home. Thank you. And would you please pray us all out?
Oh, okay, yeah. Heavenly Father, please open our eyes, our ears, and our hearts to understand what is true and what is not. Any veil over our eyes, please remove it from us. Those who wholeheartedly seek you, let them reveal to them what you have for them, not what anybody else has to say. No words of man, only what thus saith you, Yahweh. Anybody that has any issues they're going through right now, let them be refined as gold. Let them go through it. Let them realize that you were there with them. You're only building them. You're only making them stronger. And do not stray from them if they are truly relying on you and seeking you. And let them let it be proven to them that you are the Most High God and there is nothing besides you. And show them why we love you so much and why we seek you daily. Also, anything that we may be seeking, any blessings that we may be asking for, if it is in your will to give to us, do not give us more than we need. Do not give us any less than we ask, or any more. Give us what we need, so our hearts do not turn from you. We do not become proud, and we do not become destitute. All praises to your holy name, Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And peace to everybody in the room. I pray that your protection is over you, you and your families, your loved ones. And, you know, say, go before you go to sleep, pray to the Most High yourself. Um, yeah, really, really just pray to Him tonight, every day, every morning. Try to get in 3 times a day. You know, I might KO when I get in my room. I usually get in the more when I'm isolated, more deeper prayers and stuff. And usually when I'm more more in a desperation mode, or it really depends. But yeah, I might KO in about 10 minutes. But yeah, y'all really go get into a prayer yourselves. Also, don't be too enticed by these uh these rooms and these doctrines they're pushing out here. All this hate speech and all that strife. That's not gonna get us anywhere. Yeah, all praises to the Most High Father. And shalom, shalom, everybody in the room. Hope to see y'all Friday.
Shalom, everyone. All praises.
Shalom, Lagatov.
Shalom.